Hi, everyone. I hope you liked the last session that we had on career in data science and machine learning. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to add one more topic to it, which is career in data science, DevOps, and machine learning. I hope you liked the session last time. And the purpose of these sessions is that you should ask more and more questions. All right. The purpose is to be to answer your questions as many as possible. All right. So I'll try to answer your questions. I'll try to answer your questions as we go ahead. And the main agenda today is to help you understand the career in data science, machine learning, and DevOps. All right. So this is basically the agenda. Here, the agenda is we'll talk about myself first, and then the Cloudex Lab. Then we'll learn about what is coding and what is DevOps. Then what is machine learning, what is AI, and what exactly is data science, and what is difference in ML approach. And what we are going to do is we are going to talk about career paths and also the job stats. So feel free to ask any questions in this in the YouTube channel, and it's going to be a 2-hour session, and there's going to be a 10 minutes break, and afterwards we will spend a lot of time in this webinar to answer your questions. So I'll explain an idea or a concept, and you ask lots of questions on it, and I'll try to answer those questions. All right. Now, except for myself, everybody's on mute, and please use the chat to ask questions on YouTube. And the recordings and the slides will be shared after the session. Feel free to take screenshots, share on YouTube, share on Twitter, share on Facebook or LinkedIn. It's up to you. All right. Or if you are a blogger, feel free to create a blog around it. And just let us know that you are going to use these slides or the screenshots from the session. We're completely liberal with it, as long as you just give us a credit saying that these slides are from Cloudex Lab. All right, so great, wonderful to have all of you in the session. So the main idea is going to be this. Now, a bit about myself. I have worked with, in past, I've worked with a company called DE Shaw. That's where I started my career. I'm 2002 pass out from IIT Roorkee. And afterwards, I joined a company called DE Shaw. DE Shaw is an interesting company because it was the data company, the data and computing company before the big giants like um, Amazon and Google, right? So at D Shaw, we did a lot of computing, and before the term big data was used and the machine learning was used, we were using all of this in order to do a lot of financial analysis and hedge funds. Afterwards, I founded a company called Tbits Global. At Tbits Global, we built a software with which most of the power plants in India are built. Afterwards, I joined InMobi and built a recommender engine on a humongous data, terabytes of data, or you can say hundreds of terabytes of data. So that was one of the largest data set I've ever handled. After InMobi, I worked with Amazon. Amazon's detail page for mobile is what we owned. And I worked on that part. And after Amazon, I started No Big Data, and that became Cloudex Lab. As of today, we have Cloudex Lab, which is being used for learning all sorts of technologies. There are every day there are more than 10,000 users who are learning at Cloudex Lab, and I'm very proud of that fact. All right. So feel free here. Our main agenda here is that to upskill people, to help people get jobs, to help people do great in their careers, and because there's a huge gap, there are many companies looking for great talent, And on the other hand, there are many people who are looking for jobs. Now, there's a gap between the two because I mean, though it seems like if there were many companies who are looking for candidates, then why are these people still looking for job? The reason is there is a difference in the skill level, and to fill that gap is why we started Cloudex Lab in first place. All right. So this is basically largely the agenda. We are going ahead and right. At Cloudex Lab, the main vision is to help engineers to upskill themselves and IT professionals in mostly the new genre of technology, such as machine learning, deep learning, big data, DevOps, and make them employable and future ready. So there are very important things that we have done at Cloudex Lab. We realized that, I mean, the content is there. Many people have created content or the books. There are huge number of books, and there are huge number of YouTube videos and the blog posts and so on. So the content is out there. But what we did was we created a playground. Playground is somewhere you can work, somewhere you can code, and basically this is very well integrated with our environment. So in the sense that on the left hand side you will see there is a problem statement. On the right hand side there is a notebook. Okay, it's a real Jupyter notebook. On the right hand side it's a little custom version that we have modified, and on the left hand side what you see is there is a challenge given to you and you have to solve it, and once you solve it and you submit the answer, it gives you the points. Now this makes learning fun. So we are working, basically our core business is, our core vision is to create such kind of tools so that the boring education can become really, really practical and fun. All right. And I'm going to answer multiple questions related to data science and other careers as we go ahead. All right. Now, moving ahead. So on Cloudex Lab, we not only give this environment, but we give you access to entire set of tools, right? You get your terminal, you get your file browser, you get a workspace where you can upload data, download data, and so on. Now that makes this a full-fledged cloud environment that you will see when you join a firm. If you are joining, let's say, XYZ company, a big company, the chances are you will get the access to the remote machine, and there you'll have to work. So this is essentially the closest you can get to a production environment or a real environment where you get hands-on or you get sound, you can do all kinds of experimentations here before you jump into the production environment in your organizations or before you join somewhere. So this ensures that the experience you will gain at Cloudex Lab is something real as in real. It's not something, something simulated. It is something very, very real. Now, there's a seamless experience at Cloudex Lab. You will have no worries of installation, hardware, or permissions. There is centralized data set where you can access all the data sets without having to rummage around or look for them. And your devices can connect any browser, SSH, and operating system. You can do all kinds of, you can connect from phone, you can connect from browser, you can connect from a desktop. It's up to you. All right. Now, there is something called social profile. This is something that is helping a lot of candidates. Lots of recruiters are looking at people's profile. And essentially, essentially, this is the environment where you have lots and lots of visibility to your portfolio. Many people would visit your profile, and as you work on things, your progress will be reflecting here. And there is something called, other than the profile, there is something called the discussion forum. Discussion forum is fairly active. Lots and lots of users are asking questions, and we are answering those questions. Other than this, below every question, there are comment feedback. So below this one, okay. So you can actually try it by yourself. You can just go to Cloudex Lab, okay, and just go to home. Okay, by default, you'll get this kind of news feed. If you go to home, you will see something called, let's say, Python for machine learning, okay, or Python for beginners, right? So this is a course where you can start your journey to the course. Okay, so I'm just starting, let's say, a 0 days lab. Okay, now this is going to add into my courses. All right, this is going to add into my courses. Let me click on this. Yes, it is started here now. Okay. All right, you can see that this is the entire, you can see all the exercises and right, everything here. So you can just click on start. Now, in case you see here, you don't see a lab, you might have to take up a lab subscription, but for 7 days is free. So you can just sign up. And moreover, the amount that we charge for the technology and tools that we provide per month is very, very low. Okay. Yeah, it came. So it's taking a bit of time, but it will come. All right. Okay, so basically you can just skip whatever you like and you can jump on to the questions. Here there are MCQs, there are theory pages, and then there are multiple choice questions, and there are these coding exercises. Okay, there are these coding exercises. This is a this is fill in the blanks. This is coding exercise. Okay. So you have all sorts of exercises, and because we understand that you cannot learn anything without practicing. You can at most memorize things if you're not practicing. You can at most you know memorize it, but that's of no use when you are going for a job or interview or trying to solve any problem or project. That memorization will not help. Okay, therefore what I'll recommend is, it's only 134. I can guarantee you that will be very quick. You'll finish it in like a month. If you have not studied any programming, you can, I mean, if you have not studied Python before, you can quickly finish it in a month's time. Okay, if you've already finished programming, then you don't need this. All right. So what I just talked about is the experience. In case you do not wish to take a lab, you can just sign up for a free lab of 7 days and then complete this course. All right. So I'm sure that you will definitely like this course. Now, further, what we have is we have created a job portal and we are going to work more on this. We are launching something called exams, where we will be taking a proctored exam, whereby your screen and the camera will be recorded, so that we can take your profile to and get you the job. So exams we are about to launch probably in couple of weeks time. The exams will be launched. In the exams, it'll be like a big 2 hours exam. There'll be, say, questions, and people would ask those questions. And sorry, there'll be questions like the coding questions, there's MCQs, and there's a fill in the blanks. So those questions will be there, and then when you attempt it and you get graded, and we have that report. And once out of those people, we will basically, those who are clearing the lower benchmark, the minimum cutoff, we will take their profile and go and we will pitch to many companies. All right, we have already many companies lined up for who wants to hire from us, and that way by working through the exam, the content, and by the lab, you will be able to secure your career. All right, so before we jump into other things, the one question that I want to answer is that what exactly is programming? You hear this question like, what is coding? Everybody is doing coding. And I am, from X background, should I learn coding or not? You will hear this question, or I hear this question all the time. All right. The answer is the programming is an act of writing steps to tell computers what to do. Okay. Now, the act of writing steps to tell computer what to do is called coding or programming. Anything that you do can be broken down in sets of steps. Okay, those steps could be huge number of steps. Those things could be really a zillion number of steps, but things can be broken down into steps. Okay, and some of the things are very, very hard to break down into steps. Like, for example, understanding something, how would you convert that into steps? But to some extent, that part can be done using the machine learning. And machine learning is nothing but the next form of coding. It's essentially programming computers to learn from the data. Okay, so programming or coding is essentially act of creating steps or writing a step to tell the computer what to do. Okay, so you need to understand what is computer. It has a memory, it has a disk, it has the ways to understand the instructions, and you should know like what kind of instruction can we do. Like, can we assign a variable? Can we do the for loop? Can we do the create an object? Like all of those constructs you should be clear with. So the coding is essentially the act of writing code. Now, this is another question, that I am from XYZ background and my interests are okay, there's a typing mistake, never mind. So, and my interests are such and such. Should I learn coding or programming? The answer is yes, you should learn coding or programming, no matter what your background is, no matter what your interests are, whether you are an artist or musician or actor or marketer, or let's say you are into manufacturing, anything you're doing. Okay, you should learn coding or programming. Now, in other words, if you are, let's say medical practitioner, should I learn programming? Yes, you should learn programming. It only makes you a better person. It doesn't harm you in any way. Okay, let me quote Steve Jobs here. Everyone should learn how to code. It teaches you how to think. Okay, so it's a very important quote. Now, let me see if there are questions. Yes. All right, I'm going to answer your questions. There are going to be, there are many, many questions that are coming up. Wonderful. So question is, should I learn programming? Yes. No matter what your background or interests are, learn to code. Okay. The important part is, whatever is your branch, whatever is your field of research, field of work, if you learn coding, you will be able to figure out where you can use coding. Okay. It is as essential as reading or writing. The advantage of reading and writing you discover once you learn reading and writing. Otherwise, you are a different person. If you do not know how to read or write a language, you are a different person altogether. Or any language, if you do not know reading or writing any language, you are basically a different person. Similarly, when you learn to code today, you become a different person, no matter what, whether you are a medical practitioner, you are an artist, you're a marketer, you are into finance, everywhere. The reason is, as of today, everything has been eaten by is kind of every branch of human sciences involves computing. Every branch of human sciences involves software. Whether you are in medical field, there is software all around, right? And if you are in, let's say, if you are in marketing, then there is a software all around. If you look at the analytics, you see all kinds of software around. Then if you are in, let's say, you are a musician, you'll find that there's so much software and coding involved today in music world. So the next reasoning for learning reprogramming is helps you think analytically and communicate better. All right. I remember in one of my experiences, my boss, who was a software manager, did not know coding. And it was a very short period of time. So he could not communicate the idea in a way that could fit in. So it took a while to understand that there is SQL and there is a normal coding, and he was talking about the loops and stuff while I was thinking in terms of SQL, and there was a big disconnect. So if you know a programming language, it helps you structure your thoughts better, communicate better. All right. Like, for example, when I very vividly remember that when I was learning to code, and there was this question that I had was, uh, because I did not know programming at that point of time. This must be like my first year in college. That time I had never touched the computers. So there, big question was that how exactly the computer solves the chess. How did the computer beat the human in chess while human knows all the steps to solve it? Okay. And basically I could not imagine that part. So once I learned coding, then I learned a technique called backtracking and recursion. Then I was able to see, okay, there is a game theory. I can, first I can go through, I can do the permutation, put all the steps in place, and so on. So that was a very important aspect. And I remember very well my life before coding. I was not able to visualize how to break down a complex problem and into steps and do it. Okay. The whole idea of, let's say, building a tic-tac-toe game, let's say I want to build a tic-tac-toe solver. I mean, I can play tic-tac-toe, but I did not know the whole idea of breaking it down into steps was very vague to me. So after I learned programming, the things became more concrete. Things became very concrete and meaningful. Okay, so please, my strong suggestion is that do start your career in coding if you are coming from completely different background. All right, and even if you are 50 years old or 60 years old, I have seen that people have done wonders in that domain. Okay, they have. I have seen many learners who basically start their. They just because they have retired and they wanted to have some fun, so they basically started coding, and it was good for them. They enjoyed it. They built multiple things with that. Okay, so it opens a lot of doors. It opens a new dimension of life. Just like reading and writing made you a different person, learn coding makes you a different person. All right. And one more important thing is that when you learn one programming language, your ability to learn a new language becomes drastically better. I learned C++. Probably it took me 6 months easily to practice, learn, practice, learn. It took me 6 months. I very well remember this. And it took me 6 months to learn my first programming language. But when I learned Python, it took me probably a week to move. Okay, so once you learn one programming language, it is just a matter of mapping. It's just a matter of mapping that this construct, there is a for loop, there is a while loop, there is a for each loop. Here you have this way of assigning, here you have this way of defining and things. So it takes a very small time for individual to learn another programming language. Okay, so first programming language takes time, but other programming languages after that do not take time. But what takes time is being able to convert a real life problem into steps. Like, for example, how would you multiply a list of numbers with another list of numbers, right? Now, how would you multiply two matrices? How would you, let's say, write a code that can run another code, right? How would you write a code that can understand a query language such as SQL? So these are fairly complex problems, and basically, learning to code, you can learn to code and learn the entire programming language, or you can memorize the syntax. But the most important part is spend a decent amount of time learning how to convert real life things into code. Okay, so that helps you thinking about a problem, that helps you breaking down complex problems into easier steps. All right, now there is another thing that I want to describe to you, that what exactly is data science. Data science is essentially, it's an interdisciplinary field that uses scientific methods, processes, algorithms, and systems. So at the end of day, all the tools are built using the same coding languages, right? Same set of steps that we talked just now. These tools make your life really, really easier so that you have to code less. For example, if you're using, say, SQL, it would help you filter the, if the data is in the tabular form, you can quickly write the filter statement and pick few rows, pick few columns out of it, take this table, take another table, see which of these are overlapping, see if, right, look up this values into this one, and so on and so forth. You can do joins and intersections and so on. So basically, that's SQL. SQL helps you analyzing the tabular form of data. And then there are tools that help you analyze the unstructured data and processes and so on. So basically, the data science is a very interdisciplinary field that uses scientific methods, processes, algorithms, and systems. So by combination of these various fields of study, the main objective is to extract knowledge and insight from many structured and unstructured data, right? So essentially, here the the idea is that, okay, so the main idea is, so data science is essentially the sets of tools and practices that help you process data, right? So, and I'll talk a bit more about it. So the various tools that are needed to do the data science are these. An individual, it's an overlap, of maths, computing, domain knowledge, information technology, and statistics, right? So maths and statistics are the same thing, okay? So, right, if you consider that way, so maths and statistics are same way. Computer science and information science are same thing, and domain knowledge. So you can say simply three things: maths, computing, and domain knowledge. All right, that's data science. So if you know about these ideas, right? So most of the maths you have already studied up to 12th class. And if you can combine that knowledge with computer science and the domain knowledge, you are a data scientist. All right. So we've designed a detailed course that takes you through the entire journey. I'm going to show you this. So if you go here, there are quite a few questions around this. Okay. So let me just go to home. This is a newsfeed. All right. So here we are. So you will see that there is a certification course on data science and AI. All right. So this one is a live course delivered by the faculty from IIT Roorkee and the industry experts. And this one basically, if you take a look at this page, the curriculum tells you a lot about it. Okay. The curriculum here is, let me just walk you through the curriculum. Okay. So basically, when you want to become a data scientist, you need to know the fundamentals of computers. Okay. Other than coding, which is, let's say, Python, other than coding, you need to know how to deal with Linux, because lots of data cleaning can be done by using the Linux commands. Okay. Then after that, here there is a tool called Git, which is SCM. This is essentially a tool for software management, where, or code management. You'd say when you have multiple teams, you have to manage code. For that, you use a tool called Git. And there is a GitHub where you can publish this code. There are many other Git repositories, such as GitLab, or you can create your own, but the tool remains same. Okay, so Git and Linux, Python. So the fundamentally, when you are studying your career in as data scientist, you should finish the foundations part. Okay. Then these are the further libraries from Python, such as NumPy, Pandas, and linear algebra. Right. These are machine learning and mathematical foundations. Okay. So after that, we have the SQL. This is also a course. You can take a look at the courses at Cloudex Lab. And then there are statistical foundations. Okay, so this is the bundle of foundations that is part of this course. Afterwards afterwards there is a machine learning and deep learning part. Okay, here we learn about how to understand what is machine learning, what kind of machine learning problem it is, and so on. In brief, those who are impatient, let me just describe what exactly is machine learning. Machine learning is essentially machine learning from data. So you, instead of you explicitly writing code, you give the data and let machine figure out the algorithm. Okay, so this is what you learn in the beginning. What exactly is machine learning? What are different types? How to identify types, and so on. Okay. Now, this data science course is very much aligned with the industry. After that, there is this one called machine learning project. Now, this might look awkward to you, but this is actually proven to be a very successful project. Here, what you learn is the entire process. Okay, entire process, how to take the data, generate the how to take the data, generate the insights from it. Okay, this is the entire project. You may not understand exact algorithm, what is going under this, but you will understand how to convert your problem into steps. Okay, and so this will essentially get you started into the domain of machine learning. 90% of your work can be done if you just finish this course up to the second chapter. Okay, then we go into details about various algorithms available, and then we start with the Keras and TensorFlow. So what we are discussing right now, a, a good curriculum so that you can become data scientist. And this is something that we strongly believe in. This flow of the curriculum is something that we strongly believe that would help you understand the entire flow. Okay. Afterwards, we talk about how a new form of algorithm in machine learning called deep learning, which is inspired by the human and animal brain. And there we basically learn the deep learning part, all of it, understand how to process natural language, how to process the video, how to process the images, how to understand the time series and so on, and then how to design a robot. So this is part of machine learning. So machine learning plus foundation plus mathematics, and then comes the big data. If you combine all of these skills, you are a data scientist. Okay. Of course, you will take this knowledge, apply in a field, only then you will be able to perform great. But this is something that you can do now before when you join the company based on their domain, your domain is going to be defined. But the foundation common denominator is this. Okay, so this is one part. Second part is the big data in case of the in case of the in case of the data science, because when you deal with data, sometimes the data could be in petabytes. At that point of time, your normal way of storing data will go for a toss, and that's where you will learn how to store the big data, how to process that kind of data using various tools and so on. Okay, and then you will learn how to process it using Spark. So this course that you see here is essentially big data plus machine learning combined together along with all mathematical and programming prerequisites, and that's what is essentially the data science curriculum. Okay, so this is kind of very de facto the data scientist course. Okay, there might be other courses, but we cannot believe that any course can be like a week long or months long. No, the data science course is essentially really big because machine learning as a domain is actually pretty deep. So if somebody is claiming that you can learn entire machine learning in a month, no, I don't think so. You can learn the process of machine learning without dive deep in a 1 month's time, or you can learn the general ideas around machine learning in a 1 month's time. But for to learn something fundamentally, you'll have to spend that much time. Okay. So, right now, this one is essentially without the big data. So, machine learning plus big data is data science course. All right. And right. So this part, so when you see the machine learning also include data analytics, also includes the coding, also includes the other parts. All right. So it is a very, very deep dive course. Moving ahead. So there are a couple of questions. Let me take the questions. So a question from Tanmay was, difference between data scientist and data analyst career point of view concerning real time. Okay, so data analyst basically takes the data, analyzes by himself, and gives the results. Okay, while data scientist utilizes machine learning, deep learning, or any other tools to do the analysis. Okay, so data analysts should know the basic say SQL. They should also know basic techniques to load the data. So my understanding is that if you are going to planning your career in data analyst, especially from the technology point of view, because this term called analyst has been used very loosely. Okay, so the way I'm looking at the data analyst is somebody who can, you know, given a data in database, given a data in a file, he should be able to tell us something about this data. Is it good or bad? Given this data, can he tell, right? Can he summarize it saying that this data is showing that we are losing this much money every month and so on, or we're making this much money every month. This data shows that our sales mostly happen from here, and our sales in this particular domain is needing this. All right. So for that, a data analyst must know what is SQL, must know Python and NumPy, right? Python or R, but I mean, my suggestion is if you have not known R, there's no point in learning R now, because whatever can do with R, you can do with Python. Okay. So, so basically, if you are a freshman and you're planning to build a career in data analyst, my suggestion will be learn Python, learn R, learn Python, learn NumPy, learn SQL. Okay. And of course learn a bit of Linux. Another course that I strongly recommend apart from Python is Linux, because when you are going, even if you are a data analyst and you're going to go to a company, you will have to work on servers. You should know how to load the data, how should you can just deal with lots of files, how to copy files and so on. Therefore I found that then when you are in this in the industry, the challenge is that most of the tools on the server side are basically based out of Linux. Okay. So most of the companies will have on servers Linux. Therefore, I would suggest that you go with Linux. Okay, there is a free course. You can just go ahead. It's a gamified course. It'll basically check whether you're doing right or wrong, and it'll give you the rewards based on that. Okay, it has been attended by close to 20,000 users, and they have really liked it. And we basically take a pride in this particular one of a kind tutorial. Okay, this is the first tutorial I created on Linux at Cloudex Lab. Afterwards, we created other ones. Now, so this is another thing that you need to learn as, right? So if only I could just make notes of things. Okay, let me pause my screen a bit and open text editor. Okay, so for data analyst, my suggestion is learn Linux, yes, learn SQL, learn Python, learn NumPy and Pandas. Okay. So for data analysts, you don't have to get into algorithm, data structures, or other parts, but yes. Now, from the career perspective, the data scientist, data analyst also plan to move in the career to machine learning engineer. Okay, and right, because what you have to do is when you are let's say planning a career in machine learning, what you have to do is you have to finish we have to learn the machine learning aspects of it. Okay, the machine learning and right, machine learning engineer. Okay, right, the data engineer needs to know what data analyst knows. Okay, plus they know about big data and DevOps. Okay, those are the two skills they know extra. And when we talk about the machine learning engineer, okay, the machine learning engineer also knows a deep learning component of the machine learning. Okay, they also know. Now there's a title called machine learning ops, right? Machine learning ops engineer, which is essentially you should know what a machine learning engineer knows. Okay, plus DevOps. Okay, so make sure that you learn that part, and this is going to help you build the career. I hope this was good. All right. So I hope, right. There are quite a few questions. Let me just read out. Okay. The other question, which is apt right at the moment, question is data cleaning and preparation is a very difficult task. How can we analyze the data easily? Is there a technique that you can do? Okay. So honestly speaking, there is no single thumb rule to it. The data, as we see, there are like all kinds of formats of data. It could be X-rays, it could be coming in DICOM format, it could be coming in CSV, it could be coming in fixed file format, and so on and so forth. Okay, so first of all, you'll have to convert the data from files to structured format. Okay, second, right, once you have done that, you can use SQL. Okay, or you can use in case you right in case right you basically need to do pandas for the data analysis and data cleaning. So pandas doesn't help you in that. So the data cleaning and preparation is essentially a Python task along with scikit-learn, scikit-learn, and other utilities. Okay, this is for small data. Okay, if you are doing for big data, okay, if let's say this is your small data, like something that can fits in the memory, that's right. But if it's a big data, then okay, if it's a big data, then then the you will have to use different tools. Then you'll have to use Spark, Hive, etc. Okay, so so data preparation and cleaning is difficult. It's a function of what kind of data it is. If you imagine for a moment that your data is well formatted in, let's say, a database table, then data cleaning and processing may be a slightly easier task. Also, what kind of preparation do we mean? If we are trying to, let's say, we have the data which is, let's say, time bound, okay, and each time step is one row in the database. Now to convert it to horizontally and combine this is going to be a fairly difficult task. Therefore, you will have to have a bit of knowledge on the coding side. Okay, you should know how to code. Otherwise, what will happen is you will be able to do only the things that are possible with given structure of tools like SQL or other libraries, right? So those are a few ideas. All right. There are a few questions. I would love to answer those now before jump into questions. Okay. Please, if you are from non-English speaking side, please convert it into English before posting. It's going to be easier for me. Other than English and Hindi, I do not know any other language. Um, okay. Now, a question is, I'm in teaching field for 6 years. I just finished a full-time PhD. I'm willing to switch the industry to AI ML. How can I do so? Okay, very simply, I would strongly suggest that you take up this particular course. Okay, you take up this particular course, um, not this one, or whatever is the curriculum for this course. Okay, this one, whatever is the curriculum for this course. Okay, you use that. Okay, so this one. All right. In case you want a self-paced course and you do not want the IIT Roorkee certificate, you can go ahead with, let's say, yeah. So this one, okay. This one. All right. This has the recorded content. Okay. The data science specialization, and it doesn't have a certification associated. So you can try either of these. Now, moving ahead, in case you are looking for an MSc in the same subject, you could take up this particular course, because this is certified by, this is here you get the MSc proper MS, which is UGC approved in India, and it is really really highly valuable course. Okay, with after this, it opens lots of doors for your career. All right, wonderful set of questions. Let the questions keep coming. All right. Okay. A question is, I am a certified cloud associate. Yet do I need to learn coding for cloud computing? I'm complete novice when it comes to coding. Okay. Though you can, if you are cloud certified associate, it's good. But my suggestion will be that make yourself comfortable with one programming language like Python. So I would strongly suggest that right away you spend, let's say, 15 days finishing this particular course. Okay, at least this one. Okay, once you are done, this plus a few more concept is like NumPy pandas is Python for machine learning. So once you're done, you can move on to this one. But I would strongly recommend that you go for either of this. Okay, if you're planning machine learning, just take this up. You'll get a lot of use lab duration, or you can just go here. All right. So for you, my suggestion will be yes, because if you are working on a cloud, so there is a lot of automation. You see, there is Chef, Puppet, and then YAML, and so many other things. And what I found is that if you are comfortable with Python as a programming language, you can just scope up with everything, or you can create your own tool or your own scripts to automate everything. Like at Cloudex Lab, almost every automation is done using Python. Every automation on the cloud is done using Python. Okay, and it doesn't need to be, you have to be super solid in data structures and algorithms and so on. No, you just need to know how to structure the code and how to write those steps. And my belief is that everybody can learn coding just like everybody can learn reading, writing. Can you believe that in some part, probably like around, say, 500, 600 years ago, people actually thought that, not 500, like maybe say 200 years ago, or maybe 100. I was reading that book. So people actually thought that there are only few people who can learn how to read and write. The others are not intellectually capable to learn how to read and write, right? So that's how people kind of discriminated, kind of made it very elitist thing. So there were only elite people who are supposed to read and write. But today, everybody can read and write. Almost every individual who is just normal, average person, they all can read and write, right? Therefore, my strong belief is that no matter how no matter what people told you intellectually that you are sharp or not sharp, my belief is that you can learn coding. You can learn coding and you can code. Everybody can code. Okay, it's just matter of spending time with it, spending time to learn the syntax and then practice the syntax. Everybody can code. All right. And that's a very important part that I have come to realization, that there's a huge mental block that goes around saying that not everybody cannot code and this and that. But I found that in my history, I must have taught close to maybe by the way of my self-paced as well as live classes, close to 20,000 people so far. And I found that I get so great feedbacks about people learning to code. Okay, so yes, I would say that learn to code because it's going to help you automating lots of stuff. Okay, a question from Samuel is that I don't have a tech background. Can I choose career in tech? Yes, that's a wonderful question. Okay, so I'll like to make it very clear. So I am a chemical engineer from my education. Okay, but I liked coding and I chose a career in tech. The other reason for, other than my love for coding, other reason was that I saw that you can get jobs in coding. At that point of time, the chemical engineering was not attracting so many candidates, but and I found that the coding job, the tech job, is something I can get, and I more than that, I actually enjoyed coding. I actually enjoyed coding, and since the day I started coding, probably in 1999, I started coding. I've never looked back. And I mean, so yes, you can definitely build a career in tech, provided you spend good time. You start your career with, say, Python. Okay, so my suggestion will be that, so the career goes like this. So you are a beginner. Okay, you are a beginner. You do not know any programming. You learn, say, Python. Right, these are fundamental tools. Okay, we call them fundamental tools. You learn Python, say Linux, a bit of Linux, not too much. You don't need to be like a Linux kernel hacker. You just have to know like commands so that you make yourself comfortable with file system and commands. Okay, just like how to run this, how to do this, how to do that. Okay, so and then maybe Git, because you'll have to check out the code, commit the code, and so on. And SQL. Okay, these are fundamental tools to know. Then comes the next one, like we call it like a quick career. Okay, initial career. Okay, initial career could be, let's say, mobile development, right? Mobile development. Okay, for this you might have to learn the mobile development using your favorite language, or let's say web development. Okay, here when you are talking about fundamental tools, you can also talk about learn, say, JavaScript and other things. Okay, web development, you need to learn, say, HTML, JavaScript, and you need to also learn the styling and so on, and also learn how to communicate back and forth. So here, the one tool that has seemed to work is Django. Django is a web application framework in Python. Then, right after that, what you can do is, I'll just put semicolon to separate things. I know that I'm deviating from my usual presentation, but this is something that I personally want to explain. The initial career could be in mobile development, web development, or the right. This web development is also called as full stack, also called as backend engineer. Okay, so right, and all of this you can actually practice and do at Cloudex Lab. Okay, now the next one is right. The other career could be in the ETL, right? Other ETL, or you could do the big data engineer job. Okay, so this could be your initial career. Okay, for this you'll have to study the big data part. For this you'll have to study HTML, JavaScript, CSS. You should know how to build the website, and probably a framework like Django or Node.js or some other. Okay, then, or you might want to build the mobile apps. Okay, but my suggestion will be, if you have to choose between mobile development and the web development, choose the web development, because if you build a website or build a web app, you can embed it and create a mobile app, but not the vice versa. Okay. So similarly, like when you are building anything, right? If it's not too intensive for the phone, you can build it, right? So if let's say the you learned web development, if you build a website, you can make a mobile app out of it very quickly, but not the vice versa. Okay. And anyway, if you are building a service, you will have to anyway build the mobile app, mobile web version or the browser web version. So better thing is, if you have to choose between mobile app development and this, choose the web development. Okay. The other one is ETL. When you have data, you have to clean it up. In that case, choose ETL. Then there comes a cloud engineer. Okay. In case of cloud engineer, my suggestion is finish the DevOps course. Because when you are okay, let me make it a little more cleaner. This will help you. Okay. So okay. So this way, I think, I hope my screen is making sense to you. Don't, okay. I mean, don't worry about too much about formatting. Okay. So this initial career is something very important. All right. Now, once you are in the initial career and you want to grow further, then you go ahead with, and here there are more domains such as game programming. Okay, game programming or game development. Okay, all right. But the important part is that once you are clear about the fundamentals of any programming language, right, then everything else becomes pretty simple. Okay. Now coming back to where we are. So initial career, after initial career, the next step is, right? So either you can get into the ETL career where you know how to do the big data engineering. Okay. Also, sometimes you can just do PHP here instead of Django. Okay, Django, PHP based frameworks, or you could do Node.js and so on. Okay, but we prefer kind of Django better because Django is something that is pretty useful. Okay, all right. Now, this is the initial career. The next, right now, here there is something called React also. Okay? React JS, and there is React Native. Okay. So I'm just talking about the various careers you can have and how to proceed with each of the career. Okay. And then the secondary career after the initial career, like when you want to grow a little higher, my suggestion will be here, every engineer will basically move into either ML engineer and ML engineer or ML ops engineer. Okay, ML ops engineer. Okay, right. Also, this DevOps, right? You see, cloud engineer. There is actually DevOps engineers are fairly senior position. Okay, after you finish your initial career, you become really good experienced in dealing with the systems. Then you become, right. Okay. All right. Something like this. So basically, this is how you can think of the career. Of course, there are many domains. I cannot really cover all, but this is largely a picture. But the story starts with learning and encoding. Okay, trust me, it's not hard. I'm not saying that you become like super genius in the coding. You can become super genius in a coding in a few months, but You can learn to do decent amount of work if you just spend a month time on a language like Python. Okay, just a month. Okay, if you are not from tech background. Okay, all right. There are a couple of questions. I hope you do not mind me answering those questions. Let me answer. Right. Okay. Next question is, can we manage to learn a lot of programming languages? For example, I learned Java, C, HTML, PHP, and MySQL, but my desire to go deep into data science, how can I manage shifting? Okay. All right. So this is a good question. Okay. Question is that, can we manage to learn a lot of programming languages? Yes. Actually, the important part to know is the more programming languages you know, the better you are at judging how to get the work done. It's not the other way around. Okay? There is no such thing like forgetting. If you are forgetting because of learning new things, you are probably probably doing it right. Okay, so there's a reason why we forget things. We forget things because those things were not necessary. Okay, whenever we learn new things, we forget some things which are not necessary. And there's a beauty about our mind, that it figures out what is not necessary things. So initially we learn by memorizing things. As we do practice and as we learn more and more things, we forget lots of things and we basically cement the ideas around it. Okay, so similarly, an individual can learn many programming languages. And like, for example, it's a very interesting question, and I would like to answer it in more details. So basically, right, I learned my career started with C, C++, Perl, C Sharp, Java, um, JSP, and other things. And Lisp, I learned Lisp, JavaScript, SQL, all of those. And trust me, I've not forgotten anything. The things I forgot was, what are those functions in Java string library, right? That is anyway useless. You don't need to memorize anything. All I remember is these chunks of information, that in Java, you don't need to create or store create the memory by yourself. There is, this, right? So those chunks of differentiation I have in mind, like Lisp looks like this, so right, all of that. And it's completely okay to continuously look up the code when you are programming in a new language. So I mean, so you will figure out the difference between A language and B language, and you will only remember those differences. Similarly, those so it is definitely possible to learn many programming languages. As an engineer, as a senior engineer, that becomes imperative that you will not be afraid of any programming language. It's just like, for example, I had to learn Scala. I learned it very quickly. Okay. Okay. So now let me come to your second question. That, how can I manage shifting? Yes, of course, you can. Every senior engineer, as I said, after experience, they can shift to. I mean, it's not only after the experience, but usually people shift from the basic engineering to the data scientist job. Okay, so you can definitely shift, and my suggestion will be that whether you learn by yourself or you take up these courses, but this curriculum is something that I would strongly recommend. Okay. So this would help you shift, because I have been lucky to witness the career change of many, many people who have learned from us. And since probably I think the EICT course itself has been taken up by around 6,000 people. Okay. So, and I'm seeing their career grow, okay, in various kinds of roles. So I can guarantee that if you finish the data science specialization or this curriculum from anywhere, and you're confident, do send me your resume, as well as I can assure you that wherever you go, you'll get a job. Okay. All right. So there are quite a few questions. I was thinking I'll finish it, but let me take a break. Let's take a break for 10 minutes, back by 9:21 p.m. IST. All right. So let's meet after the break. All right, so let's get started. Wonderful set of questions, and I'm actually really liking it. So your questions especially. So yes, a question is how much dollars can we expect as a salary? So okay, this is a bit harder to answer because the salaries are function of your skill, function of your education, function of where are you located physically, and function of your proficiency with languages, not programming languages, but human languages. The salary is a function of your general aptitude, and salary is a function of which domain and which position you are. Okay, so it's very hard, but you can, but the computing industry is actually the most meritocratic industry as compared to other industries. Other industries are not that meritocratic. Most of the other industries where right, let's say for example being a professional actor, it's hard to become a professional actor because there are only few, and so on. Now, coming back to the point is that take a look at Glassdoor, take a look at other careers. You will find that the salaries of, let's take a case of DevOps engineer, would be more than in the US. It would be more than probably $80,000. Okay, so take a look at say Glassdoor and other sources of uh, salary. Like for example, if you go to Indeed.com, Naukri.com, and other sources, you will find that there will be many more data points to correlate. Okay, I might say something. I might say that I mean, by doing this course, you will get $200,000 salary, but that's a function of that'll be a lie. Okay, no course can guarantee you a job. Okay, even the top institutions in the world, even when Google or Microsoft or Facebook is hiring, even from the top colleges of the world, they still take their own test. Okay, they don't rely on the college degree. Okay, so when let's say, though I'm from a very premier institute in India called IIT, but when I applied in DE shop, I had to give the test. I had to give the written test. I had to clear the technical round of interviews, and so on. So there is no sensible job in the world which will give you, which will basically be open for you without some kind of authentic entrance test. Okay, and if let's say there is a job which is basically hiring everybody who has done BTech in computer science. Okay, let's say there's a company, right? So when you look at such companies, the only thing that will go in your mind is that how can they rely on my BTech degree alone? Because there are so many people who did not study at all and they just have a same degree, right? So this only means that this company, which is hiring everybody with just based on the degree, doesn't know how to hire. So my strong suggestion will be in such cases, it's going to be a disaster for your career. You might join, you may not be learning there. All the colleagues you might be having, it just they came based because you have a certain piece of paper as a degree and so on, right? So no matter what, no degree, no college, no company, nobody can guarantee you a salary, a particular salary or a particular job. What would what What at most a company like Cloudex Lab do is nudge you in the right direction, right? Give you the courses, the chapters, the knowledge that you need in the correct format. We could talk about, all the general gyan, general motivation, this, that, but that wouldn't lead you to a job. What would lead you to a job is real hands-on knowledge of the various tools that I've talked about. Okay, so my suggestion will be start your learning with, say, Python, Linux, Git, and all other tools. And then move on to the curriculum that I have mentioned for data science. And trust me, by the time you finish it, you yourself will realize the potential of the subject. Okay, because by the time you finish it, you will definitely have gained a lot of knowledge, and you'll be able to apply those knowledge in various fields. Okay, so that's one piece of advice that I have. Okay, there are a few more questions, so I'll see if I can answer them quickly. Okay, so initial questions, and generally I take a bit of time so that I hope you can see my screen. What would be the best approach to learn many languages for different application, or learn a particular language and do everything with that? Okay, all right. So there's a saying that, right, if you have a hammer, you will think of everything as a nail, right? But if you have a full toolkit, you will know when to use what. Okay? The best approach is this: learn a programming language. When you learn one programming language, moving to other programming language is quick. Okay? Second, when we say you are learning a language, you are not really learning a language. What you have to learn is, you don't have to memorize all the functions that every library in Python has. No, what you have to learn is how to solve problems using Python. Like, for example, a simple question is that how would you find the max of a list of numbers, right? One way is you look for a method which is there in the library, or other ways you write a loop. Okay, so basically, the most important part is learn to structure your thoughts so that you can solve problems. Even if there is no library function available, you should be able to quickly write it, right? I met somebody who was very good at, machine learning with R. He said that, I said that, what is standard deviation? He answered, what is standard deviation? And then I asked him that, do not use the computer. Here is pen and paper. Give me the standard deviation of these three numbers. And to my surprise, he could not do it. So it's not the programming language that you will learn eventually. Programming language is just a way to structure your thoughts. When you finish programming, you will learn how to structure your thoughts to solve problems. Okay? And as you proceed, it'll be more about how would you structure your thoughts to get the work done. All right. So the best approach will be learn one programming language, learn the ideas on how to convert the questions into code. Okay, that's how we have structured the Python course, Python for beginners, the free course that we have mentioned. That's how we structured. By the time you finish Python course, you will not only learn Python, but will learn the coding in general. When you know coding in general, no matter which language you choose, you can just quickly learn it. Okay, say for example, Scala, it took me a very small time, to learn Scala, right? I just have to look through, okay, what are these syntaxes means? What are these symbols mean? Okay, it is like Java, it is like Python. In Python, we do like this, Scala, we do like, so you were able to correlate very quickly and would be able to learn many languages. And unlike a general language, unlike a human language, in case of humans, when we learn a new language, let's say I need to learn Chinese, it's going to be a mammoth task, right? I have to learn all the meanings of words and so on and so forth. That's not true in case of programming language. In case of programming language, if you know one language really well, as in, if you know the construct of a language, one language such as Python, moving to a new language is very, very quick. Okay? Very, very quick. The most important part you need to learn is how do you convert a question, a problem statement into the code. Okay? Start with simple solving things like how would you solve a Sudoku problem? Right? Given a Sudoku problem, which is a 9 by 9 array, how would you fill it? Right? If zero means it's some of them are empty, right? So think when you do that, you will realize that programming languages do not matter. Okay. I hope I was able to answer your question. Okay. Okay. A question is, by using unstructured databases, can our task become easy for processing unstructured data? No, that's a lie. Okay. Lots of people who were trying to sell their databases, which are able to handle semi-structured data, right? Right? They made you believe that if the databases such as NoSQL, right, will make task of processing unstructured data easy. No, no, not at all. They made it possible to store humongous data in a format which is not really strictly tabular. Okay. But processing that data is still a big task. My belief is not belief, but I can show you that if the data is structured and we are using SQL, processing the data is way, way, way easier. Therefore, therefore, uh, therefore, the reason why we store the unstructured data is because it helps us distribute the data easily. The tabular form of data is very hard to distribute in general. Like some columns go here, some columns go here, and so on. Though there are tables like HBase and so on, but the main idea is that if you can represent humongous data or any data in the form of table, it's so easy. Like think about Excel. When you have data in the Excel format, it's so easy to manipulate it, like delete these columns, keep these columns, filter by this, filter by that, and then you can quickly process it, right? So unstructured databases help you, or you can say there's no unstructured database, they are semi-structured. Semi-structured databases help you store humongous data, but processing the data would require same amount of energy, same amount of efforts. Okay. All right. I'm just going through it. A question is data science master program for faculty trainer. Is data science good for freelancing? Okay. So there's a person who is data science master program. Okay. Okay. Now question is data science good for freelancing? All right. Um, I'm not sure. I have not taken a look at that market, but I would love to take a look at that and try to understand that is data science really good for freelancing? Because what happens is if you have a lot of data, the chances are that you will not outsource the work to somebody, right? Because your data gets exposed. So what people do is people obfuscate the data, and then give it to somebody else. Okay, to avoid the, I mean, to ensure the data privacy. But still, there's a lot of companies are very possessive about it, and that's why lots of companies who work around data processing, they usually hire people internally. But there would be lots of companies freelancing as well, right? Hiring the freelancers as well. Question is data learning valuable for MBA students? I have done my MBA. Yes, I think almost every MBA has now something called data analyst, data analytics, and big data analysis. So yes, okay. Question is, which of your data analytics techniques are you proud of, right? Most proud of. So this is a good interview question, and right. So I do not have a particular technique per se that I am, super proud, but I basically utilize all kinds of techniques, starting from Linux commands to map reduce and ETL techniques and so on, based on the requirement. I'll understand where is my data, how big is this data, what is the end use, and based on that, I'll pick and choose the tools that are needed. All right. I want to build a system to this is another question that I'm reading out. Question is, I want to build a system that detects and define faces and things. Okay. All right. So good question. So I'm going to, all right. So here is a question. So everybody, please pay attention. This is something that I want. Okay, so question is that I want to build a system that can detect, define faces and things. What should I do or start with? Here is the thing. Okay, so this is something that almost everybody should try. Those who are comfortable with basic Python and the general tools, okay, try this one. Okay, in guided projects, take a look at Flask. Okay, I'm actually super proud of this particular project. Okay, try this project. Okay, what you will learn is you will learn a lot of things in it. You will learn a web development, complete web development. Okay, you will build a web application which does the face recognition. Okay, I'll just show you. All right, so I actually created a video around it. Okay, the end result of this one looks like, okay, I'm just going to show you. Okay, you can take a look at by yourself, and all you have to do is go to, okay, go here, click guided project and search for Flask. Okay, this is all under explore courses. Okay, so it has a fair number of courses under it, and you can take a look at that. So here, these are the things that you can take a look. All right, so I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My screen was paused and I have been showing things. Okay. All right. So you should go to Explore Courses on Cloudex Lab. Under the Explore Courses, if you search for Flask, this project comes up. This project is really, really nice. And this would help you build. This project basically makes you build a system that can detect what kind of, what kind of object is there in the screen. Okay, so if I could just show you in a moment of time. So this is object. Yeah. Okay, let's try something else. Okay, so all right, let's just try. Okay. you want to cancel your server, you can just press Control C to cancel it. Right now, I'm just showing my these are the top. I'm just going back. So let's just find out the. So using this tool that I have, using this project that I showed you, you don't need to install anything. All you have to do is follow the steps on the lab. And once you have done on the Cloudex Lab itself, your web server will be hosted, your website will be created. And where things you can from just internet. Select, okay, I'll just say things. Okay. Let's just go to images. All right. Which one do we want? I like this one. I'll try this one. Okay. So this is, what is this? This is some balloon. Let's just see. I'm just going to save it to my local file. All right. So I just saved it here. All right. So it's some random name. It really can't figure out from that, from the name. Where is our, here. Okay. Now, this is the website that we have just created. Choosing the file. Okay. This is the one that we just created. Yeah. So this is the one that we saved. Not this one. I'll just say downloads. Okay. In here. All right. Open and submit. All right, it's going to take a bit of time because it's doing a lot of work over here. In the next tutorial, I'll show you how to make it very efficient. Right now, it on an average takes more than 10 seconds. But in that particular tutorial, we have brought it to lesser than 2 seconds. It looks like there's an error because the file name contains brackets. Okay, I'll just rename the bracket one. I've already renamed it. Okay, I'll try this. Okay, so now, right, I could see this here. This is where everything is going on. If you want to cancel your server, you can just press Control C to cancel it. Right now, this is showing post/uploader 200 means successful. Okay, there. So what you're seeing right now on the screen is that we built a web application using this project step by step. I mean, it lets you code this HTML, JavaScript, and everything, and then you basically it gives you these predictions. Balloon is this, like the probability of balloon is 99.7%. The probability of parachute is this much. Airship is this much. So this is one project that you would like to build, right? So so go to Explore Courses, and under that search for Flask, Explore Courses, search for Flask, and you will find okay, you will find this particular project. So there are many projects at Cloudex Lab that you can look for, and they will be very helpful. And here you'll find that this one is enhancement of the previous one. It makes it extremely fast and extremely efficient. So try both of them together, one at a time. Now, moving ahead. So let me take a look at more questions and then, okay. All right, moving ahead. So there are many questions unanswered. I know that I went a little too much into questions first, but that's okay. So data science is essentially an intersection of all these fields that you see. Now, the question is, what exactly is machine learning? Machine learning is essentially the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Okay, so I'm going to take a real world example of how the computer learns to play Mario. In this example, what one of the researchers did was he hooked the computer he hooked the algorithm to a simulator on the computer in which the Mario game was being played, and this algorithm, or you can say robot, this algorithm was pressing keys and observing the score. And here is an example of how it performed. In the beginning, this algorithm was just pressing random keys and it's not working, and it is not really performing great. Now, after a while, it dies. It doesn't really perform great. But after a while of playing, this is example of reinforcement learning, part of machine learning, this is playing a bit better. It's able to move forward, able to see a bit into future, and trying to solve it. And few more weeks of learning, now it is able to do lot better, right? This is how good I am at this game. So you can see it has started building intuition purely by the way of data. It figured out all of this by pressing keys, observing the screen, and observing the score. And that's how it is basically learning. You can see that? You can see that it is having no problems at all. Now, few more weeks, he is better than me. Okay, so here it goes. You can see you're going to see something amazing. Okay, this is my favorite part. What was that? So essentially it figured out when the Goomba is falling on it, it starts moving downwards, and the game thinks that the Mario jumped on the Goomba rather than Goomba jumping on it. So it found the bugs in the game which we never knew. And again, what was that? So amazingly, so it learned everything from data. And here, when it's not able to play further, the only way to retain the game is to retain the score is by the way of pausing the game. So what you just saw was the intelligence developed based on based on the intelligence developed based on the data. So this is machine learning. Machine learned from the data. Machine learned to figure out the rules by itself. Nobody taught Mario about the gravitation, collision, and this and that. No. Here, the program learned by itself by observing the past. And that's amazing. So the program learned to play Mario and other games without any problems. The other thing that I want to talk about is what exactly is DevOps. DevOps is essentially lots of things. Okay, DevOps is a bundle of cultural philosophies such as agile development. Agile development, as in you build small things and put them to production. So you basically move faster, okay? Instead of waiting for a year's time to build and release, you build the minimal viable product and put it to production, then make changes to it, put it to production, and so on. So this is agile development. So DevOps is cultural philosophies on top of the practices and the tools, okay? So the tools and practices essentially designed to develop faster and manage the operations better. Okay, so DevOps is made up of two words: development, dev, and ops, operations. Okay, the main idea is all these tools or philosophies or practices should be able to deliver applications and services at high velocity. Okay, at high velocity. And this is something amazing. The secret to Amazon success is not e-commerce. The secret to Amazon success is software engineering, and especially the DevOps. The tools that we used to call it Brazil in Amazon, and there were a couple of more tools. What they did was they ensured that the deployment of their website continuously happens. The Amazon's website is deployed, right, every moment of time. The new feature development or deployment only stop in the US during Christmas, no other time in any city, any country. Okay, so that's basically the power of DevOps. If you ask me a simple question that what made Amazon successful, I'll answer that it is their DevOps tools and practice that made it successful. All right. So basically, today, those secrets are no longer secret. And basically, now the world has embraced those ideas. Let me just, okay. All right. So here, this is one course on DevOps. You must attend it. It's being delivered by my teammate, somebody who I really like for his, right? So it is being delivered by Abhinav. Abhinav is my colleague, and I will also be taking a couple of classes. So this is the one that is really, really like high in demand. So when people are asking you that you should learn the the Google Cloud, AWS Cloud, don't fall for it. Okay, the reason is that basically you should be more, your skill set should be more generalizable rather than specific, right? So if you learn from Amazon, they will only teach AWS, how to do something at AWS. If you learn from, say, Google, they will only teach how to do something on Google Cloud Platform. But my strong suggestion will be that you learn both and you learn the common denominator. Okay, so your skill should be more and more generalizable. Okay, so take a look at this course. This course is designed such that you basically learn the technology, tools, practices, and philosophies which are common to both. Okay, so essentially these are the various tools that you should learn, like Docker and Kubernetes, Terraform, Jenkins, Prometheus, Grafana, Git, and Linux and Python. So those are the tools that you must learn as part of DevOps. Okay, so this is exactly what is DevOps. Okay, let me take a look at the questions. All right, wonderful. The next one is the what is machine learning? We have already talked about. Next is AI. What exactly is AI? AI is essentially an objective driven definition. Anything that can behave intelligent is called artificially intelligence. Okay, AI is essentially a branch of computer science where we try to build intelligent machines such that they can behave like animals or humans. Okay, so the intelligence is defined as this: if something can represent knowledge, has perception, has reasoning, can navigate, and also can do the natural language processing, we will call it intelligent. Okay, intelligent. Now, what is representing knowledge? How do I, how do I say or express that this is a table and what is right, and things are kept on the table and so on. So how would I represent it? If computer or any machine can do that, it'll be a sub-objective of AI. Second one is perception. What exactly is perception? Being able to perceive, being able to sense, right? So having sensors, having the visual ability, having the ability to hear, have taste, all of those are perception. Reasoning, being able to play a game, solve a logical puzzle, and so on. All of that is part of reasoning. Being able to move from one place to another by the way of motors, by the way of other techniques. That's the other sub-objective. Then, then natural language processing, understanding English or understanding any other natural language, such as English or Hindi or Spanish or French or Chinese or Mandarin. So all of those are basically natural languages. Being able to make meaning out of it is essentially a sub-objective of AI. Now, question is, how do we achieve AI? AI is kind of a definition with objective, meaning that if something can do it, we will call it AI. but it doesn't specify how. Okay, this is how we achieve AI. AI is achieved. AI is achieved by the way of software and hardware. Okay, AI is achieved by software. Software could be of two kinds. One is rule-based programming. Other is based on the data, figured out based on the data, or a combination of two. And the hardware part, it could be the sensors, the motors, the robots, and the IoT, and so on. So that's basically the hardware part. Okay, so AI is achieved by the way of software and hardware. In the software, there are two kinds. One is data oriented or data science oriented. Other is the rule-based programming. In case of data science, we infer the intelligence from the data. And further, in the data science, there's a set of algorithms which all come under machine learning. Machine learning is that part of the data science where machine learns from the data to infer the rules. Okay, and part of the machine learning is deep learning. Deep learning is based on that machine learning model, which is based out of the animal, like animal brain, to give the generate the rules by learning from the data. And that's essentially is deep learning. So I hope this diagram is clear to all. All right. So most important part and the message that I have is that why is it that software is eating the world, and further machine learning or AI is eating the world is because every industry that you see is trying to predict whether manufacturing industry is trying to predict which products to manufacture, which process to follow, and what prices should be capped. Similarly, agriculture industry is trying to predict which crops to grow, at what prices, and which process to follow. And similarly, healthcare industry is trying to predict the disease based on the symptoms, and which drugs are effective, how can a pandemic be stopped, or come up with the tools with which we can stop the pandemic, or techniques, and which operating procedure is most effective. So every industry is trying to predict. So every industry's prime objective is prediction of some kind. Earlier, human used to come up with a model to predict. Now, human teaches computers to predict based on the data. So machine learning eventually will be the main work of every industry, or data science is going to be the main work of every industry. Okay, so careers and tasks, I have already discussed it. So in a typical project, the workflow is gather data, clean data, do the basic analysis, then using machine learning algorithm, do the analysis, then optimize those algorithm and models, push it to production. Moving back. So gathering data could be done using many things. Okay, using by the way of calling APIs, by the way of storing data in NoSQL databases, all kinds of putting the data into queue using Kafka, putting the data into HDFS, and cleaning data using those tools, using Spark, using MapReduce, using Informatica, or using Python. You are cleaning data. Then using the basic tools such as Hive or any other tools like Pandas and so on, you do the basic analysis. Then using machine learning algorithm, you do the predictions, or you do the basically analytics on the data. Then once you have built the basic models on the data, you optimize those using the further tools. Then once you have built a model which is optimized, you move it to production. For production, moving to production, the skills that are needed are basically the how to create a service, how to call a service, how to build a app, how to build a mobile app, how to do the deployment, and hence the DevOps. So here what you see is there is DevOps, there is big data component, and there is normal machine learning techniques and deep learning techniques. So this is a typical workflow. So data science jobs or machine learning jobs have increased drastically. Take a look at all kinds of surveys, you'll find it. The AI and machine learning jobs are going to be resilient, and they are fairly future proof. The AI jobs will dominate. There are many, many more symptoms to it, right? If you look at the funding, if you look at the various automotive sector and so on. Okay, so there are quite a few courses. I'll not like to go into few courses. I'll instead would walk you through what courses do we have. Okay, we have an MSc in deep learning and AI. This one is essentially this course by Riva University. Okay, curriculum is this course plus way more detailed and way more foundational here. So it's going to be 2 years program, and the right, this one is a slightly more compressed than this one. Here it is 11 months. This is by IIT Roorkee, and this one is a machine learning course. These courses are live instructor-led trainings coupled with the self-paced content. These courses, especially this one, has both self-paced and instructor-led. This is DevOps. Here you will learn lots about DevOps, a very foundational training you'll have. Then machine learning specialization is basically a self-paced course, whatever you will learn here. It's a self-paced course, just that it is with Cloudex Lab degree. Sorry, this one, machine learning course. This one is the data science specialization course. All right. And moving ahead here, basically the big data engineering and Hadoop and Spark. This basically teaches you big data and distributed computing, how to store the data using many computers and how to solve hard problems using many computers. Deep learning specialization is focused only on deep learning. This is part of this specialization, right? Python for machine learning is part of this specialization. Again, it is essentially Python for beginners plus a bit more libraries like scikit-learn and other things. All right, computer vision is slight variation of deep learning. Similarly, NLP is slight variation of this. They both have a lot in common. All right. And AI for managers is for those who are looking to study the AI, who are looking to study machine learning and AI very quickly in a month's time without having to do the mathematics or the coding. Okay, but this one is pretty hands-on course, and it uses Azure ML and our BootML tool, which basically generates the entire code rather than you writing it. Okay, so AI for everyone is part of this AI for managers course. This is something, if you are completely from non-tech background, and you are trying to learn AI in a significant way, this course will help you. Okay, and right, so these are all parts of the above mentioned courses. Here, if you are, this is one thing that you should do if you are absolute beginner into the tech world. This course is something I would strongly recommend you. Even if you are doing your graduation, you have just finished your 12th class, right? I would recommend you that you go through this course. This is very, very effective in learning. All right. Remaining parts are part of existing courses, and you will learn to appreciate those. The other thing is, if you have finished the course from elsewhere and you are looking to practice, take a look at the guided projects. Guided projects are wonderful. They have, right? Like for this example here, this project will teach you how to forecast the bike rentals based on the historic data. This is a real data and real project. Okay, it teaches you all the steps in machine learning. Similarly, this project teaches you how to process your emails using Python. This project teaches you how to handle big data using Spark. Okay, so there are wonderful set of projects that you should finish. Okay, and all of these projects are free, and they come with a lab. Okay, so you can just take up the lab and you'll get all these projects. Okay, so the main idea is that whatever is your bandwidth to spend, whatever is your expectation, you will probably find the right course at Cloudex Lab. Okay, so all right. And these are the courses from the experts from the industry. Okay, from IIT, from like these are the courses where I mean, I will be teaching some of the classes. One of my friends who works at Google will be teaching one of the a few of the classes, and the professors from IITs will be teaching some of the classes and so on. So it's a best mix of industry and academia, along with the lab and all the projects and a real experiential learning. That's what you will get as part of the courses at Cloudex Lab. All right. So let me just take a look at if there are more questions. Right. So thank you so much for being in this session. I hope this was useful to you. I have tried to answer your questions. I'll take a look at more questions after this meeting is over. Okay. So thank you so much. Stay connected with Cloudex Lab. Right. Sign up for the free lab subscription or take up any of these courses. I can assure you that your your time will be right worth it. Okay, every time, right, when you are in Cloudex Lab, you are practicing or building things, you will be able to learn. And also, it's not only the things that you are learning at Cloudex Lab. You can just go to my lab and just open, let's say, Jupyter here. Okay, and you can start writing your own code. All right. So if you go to Jupyter, this shows you the file. This shows you my, right now it's showing my files, but in your case it'll be showing your own files, right? In case you want to, let's say, practice Python 2, you can just open Python 2, Scala. This comes with Spark, Apache Spark. This one is Python 3. This is R. This is the Python 3 environment with TensorFlow 2, and so on. So you will, other than this, you can just open, say, terminal. Okay, and there you can essentially just learn anything. This is R, and this is Python. This is Python. This Python 2. But if you export an environment, this environment, it becomes Python 3. Okay, now the other thing is that you can also talk to Hadoop. Okay, you can also talk to Spark. Okay, and I'll have to deactivate the environment. All right, so this one is okay, let me just kill it and open it again. The reason is that I've set the environment to Python 3, and here we go. All right, now you can talk to Hive. Okay, you can talk to Hive. You can talk to, this is Hive. Here you can type the SQL queries. You can talk to MySQL, the one that we have. You can talk to let's say Scala. Here you have Scala. Okay, and you can talk to, say, right, you can start using, say, you can start coding in so many languages. If you want to compile something in Java, you can say Java C. If you want to compile C programs. You can use GCC if you want to, right? If you want to build in any programming language, you will actually find it here. Okay. And if you want to edit the text, you can use VI and so on. So make yourself comfortable here with this terminal. And for that, you can just go through the Linux tutorial. So in all, you will find the holistic experience at Cloudex Lab, whatever is your learning requirement. All right. So I hope this session was useful, and I am very sure that you should be able to choose a career, and trust me, no matter from which background you're coming, whether you are a doctor, you are an artist, you are a sociologist, anything, any background you are, you must start with learning a programming language such as Python. All right. Thank you so much. With that, I close my today's session. I hope you like this session. We are 12 minutes over, but I think 10 minutes break is for the compensation of that. So thank you, everyone. Wonderful set of questions. I enjoyed answering your questions. Stay connected with Cloudex Lab, and ask a lot of questions, and we enjoy answering your questions. And reach out to us at Cloudex Lab. Okay. So there is one last question. One last question. Question is, can you put light on exams you are talking about? Right? Yes. So yes, what we are going to do is we are going to launch our own exams. So it's like a certification. In that, we will give you the sample question paper, but it will be a proctored exam. Proctored exam as in your screen will be recorded, your video will be recorded along with the sound, and any kind of cheating attempts will be automatically classified as cheating attempts. And right, and basically this test will be based on what industry needs. So we're starting with coding, right? Coding in Python. So we will launch this test so that everybody can attempt it. For our learners who have already enrolled with us, we will keep this test free. These exams, these are real exams, and these exams will be trustworthy in the sense that we ourselves, Cloudex Lab, should be able to hire people who have cleared these exams. Okay, and I mean it. So these exams are going to be something that industry can rely upon. There won't be scope of cheating. The question paper will not be something based on memorization, and the skills that we measure upon should be generalizable. They should not be specific to Microsoft. They should not be specific to Cloudex Lab and so on. The skills that we will be testing would be mostly generalizable. And once so the main idea is that we will conduct exams, really, really good exams, and so that industry can just come to us, and they are already coming to us and say that, can you give us these many engineers, and we can give them from our pool of the users. And this way the industry does not have to take their own interviews or written tests. They can just take based on our exam. So that solves their life, that solves the learner's life, and that way it's a win-win for all. All right. So that's what we are going to do. And that's where we are going to focus full energy on. And what we are trying to do is, if possible, we will not charge right. We will not charge the candidate. Instead, we will charge the companies for the exam. Okay. So that's how it's going to be. Because if we charge the candidate, that means that we will become biased towards the candidate, and therefore it won't be a good idea. Instead, the what we are going to do is we're going to most likely keep the exams free, maybe for first few months. Okay, and after that we're going to go with a bit of more into like where the individual can pay a small fees to take the exam. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer your questions. So many wonderful questions, and thank you so much to make this session very, very lively. And feel free to come over to our discuss.cloudxlab.com, where there's lots of discussion happening. Please feel free to ask your question on the discussion forum. I look forward to see you at our forum. Bye bye. Have a good day.